One.
Awesome. Well, guys, thanks for being here on Saturday. We're going to go through some kind of cool volume stuff and maybe a little bit advanced. And I'm going to go slow, but I want again, everything that I do is trying to get you guys to understand why the market's doing what it's doing. Okay? And the more knowledge you have, the more power you're going to have as a trader, and the better you're going to be able to both trade and run the bot and understand the bot. Again, the bot will do all of this for you, but I always think knowledge is empowerment, and empowerment is good. So let's get going here. Um, One of the things that I want to show you guys first, and you guys heard me talk about things like this in the past, that the market is made up of individuals, and we all have kind of these emotional barriers or concepts of what I want out of the market. And I think that that data pool, that number of people that feel the exact same way you do is probably much larger than you think. Um, and I used to, back in the Forex, I used to have a system that I developed that allowed me to project days into the future where the market was going to go based off of some of the things that I'm getting ready to show you here, right? Because I could look at the market's intent and volume and pressure, and really within fractions of a pip, I could actually project fairly well into the future of what was going to happen. And it wasn't everybody went, oh wow, that's amazing. It was very simple. It was just understanding what the market does and probably what it's going to do in the future. So um, I got a color. I got a bunch of colored boxes here on the screen. Everybody see the boxes here? Okay, give me a one. Yeah, perfect. What I've done is I've measured distances of moves. This move to here, this move to here, basically this move to here. Okay, and I'm just trying to look at different ranges and this move to here. Okay, and I like to validate the range by finding other ranges that are very similar or the same to the range that I'm looking at. Okay, imagine that. Okay, this range are almost identical, right? Very, very close to identical. So now if I know that I have ranges that are been used in the past, and I try to find in the Forex, I used to try to find 3 to 4 examples of that exact same movement as a range. Crypto market's not old enough for me to go back and find multiple examples. I can usually find two, maybe three sometimes. But for the bigger ranges, sometimes I just don't have enough data to find those ranges. But when I look at this and I begin to look at this move going up, and we're going to talk about a lot of stuff here today. Um, when I begin to look at this move going up and it starts going up, I have to ask myself, where's it potentially going to go? Right? I mean, everybody wants to know where the market's going to go. So if I know this is the bottom of the move, and I know this is my bigger range here, okay, if this has got to be one of the potentials for this market, right? It has to be one of my potential targets, so to speak, okay? And if I do, I don't want that line. Hang on. And I messed up my box. Hang on a second. Crunched up my box a little bit. Okay. Get it right down to the bottom there. Okay. And I put it right on here. Okay. So is it going to get all of it? It might miss a little bit of it, but I got to say, this is kind of the range they were looking at because it peaked above it and then went back down. Would you not agree? Give me a one if you would agree or not, right? Yeah, I would agree. So knowing the range, my bigger range, my overall big range potential, which was measured from this move, the top of this wick and the beginning of this breakdown, which was a one direction move, right? So that gave me a fairly good range to pick from. Okay, so that's one of my ranges, right? Well, other ranges exist within the move, right? I got this range here. That's this little yellow range. Let's see how else it might line up. Okay. Well, it looks like it lined up for that pretty well. So that if I'm in this move, I might expect a hesitation or pullback if I hit this range, right? And again, I look at it the other way going down. If I break this range going down, then I might have a sell-off. I might have the market go deeper. But if this range holds, then I'm going to continue potentially my up pressure, right? So the range works multiple ways. It tells me where the market might hesitate, and it tells me also where the market might hold, right? So that I have continuation of a move. So I look at it in multiple ways. I also have this range within the range, right? And I can see, you know, where the pullbacks with even inside this yellow range, where those pullbacks may happen. Okay, because I know where the market psychology has happened in the past. It's told me what it's comfortable with. Even in this small range, what do I expect might happen? So I can see, once I understand the ranges, once I measure the psychology, and I really talk about measuring the psychology of the market, right? Really, it's the fear and greed of the market. Where is the market comfortable? And who's going to do what when? And what is that when might that happen? So I can look at the ranges and I can tell, okay, this range is from here to here. Okay, well, is this range going to hold? Well, it didn't hold here. Okay, so if they break this range, where might they go? Okay, they might go to here. Okay, and if they broke this range, where might they have gone? They might have gone to there, but they didn't, right? So now I know something. I know some information about the market. They're not ready to go down to their bigger range. They're holding this range. Okay, great. If this range holds, now I got a low, where might they go? Okay, well, they might go to here. And if I move this down, I can see they went exactly there. Okay, not close, exact, right? And so I can understand now the psychology, the how this market's going to move, okay? And if this breaks, okay, where might they go? Okay, I don't know. Let's see this one. Okay, they might go right to there, right? So now if that broke higher, where might they go? Okay, well, I would use my next range to predict that movement. Well, they didn't break it, they held it. Okay, so how do we look coming down, right? Well, they didn't break this one initially, but if you look coming down, guys, they held it exactly. Okay, then I think they no, they ended up holding it exactly. They peaked a little bit, but they couldn't get it below that. So I hadn't looked to the right of that to see where it goes. but we can see that. How does that help us understand the market? Is when we begin to look at these movements within movements. Does everybody get that? Are you seeing that? Does that make sense to you guys? Give me a 1 if it makes sense. So now I'm not trading this market in this vacuum of unknown, right? So many traders are in this, what I call, a vacuum of unknowing, right? They're, oh my gosh, where's the market going? Oh my gosh, what is the market doing? Oh my gosh, right? They just are completely in a void of information. Now, why is this important? Okay. This is important because even when we trade the bot, sometimes we may want to do a bigger projection or a smaller projection, right? In taking profit. I can now use this for scaling out or taking profit at different levels within the market, right? Because now I understand market movement or the fluctuation of market movement, right? So it's very valuable, right? So how do I know? How do I know that the market here, and let's just start here, and I can start at different points, but I guess this is as good as any. Let's start in analyzing this. How do I know maybe which of these tools might be the one that's going to hold, right? How do I know what's going to happen here? And let me slide this over. Okay. Well, we talk about volume, right? And the volume that we have is down here, right? The red is down, and in this case, green is up. And in fact, I'm going to click on this and change the green to blue so it matches our candles. Okay, and I'm going to actually make it a little darker. I'm going to make this a little darker. Okay. I do that all the time. If you do this, it's important to say okay when you do that. So let me click on volume again. Go to dark. A little darker. Click that. Be sure to say okay so it holds. Okay. All right. We're going to get a little advanced here, but again, guys, it's just concepts, okay? You're going to hear me teach stuff over and over again, and I teach it in different ways. So eventually, you guys become some of the best traders on the planet, okay? That's my goal, is to give you guys the gift of being able to understand the market and the gift of being able to trade, okay? So I look at this and I see my volume. I got a tremendous amount of red volume coming down and a tremendous amount of blue volume trying to go back up. Okay. If I were to just look at that, I don't know. That doesn't tell me a whole lot. It tells me that I've got probably almost equal pressure, actually a little bit more down pressure, it would appear. And a little slight less up pressure going back up. But is that true? Well, let's look at this. I'm going to slide this up. And now you're going to see something a little different, right? This is the volume shown in a different way. What I actually have, and I'm going to zoom in here so we can actually see this stuff. What I actually have is really what is the down volume and the up volume in this red candle right here. Right here in normal volume, all I see is red. All I see is all down, basically, okay? But there was actually some buy volume in that red, right? A little bit. And I can begin to see all along this down move, little bits of buy volume, right? But the buyers are coming in on this red, and the buyers are coming in on this red. Now, here's that great big red. It is all down pressure, okay? Now, that's significant in that it couldn't follow through. There was no more, it all down pressure. You would think, oh my gosh, it's going to go on down. But it was followed by this up pressure that still had some sellers in it, okay? Up pressure, no sellers. Down pressure, some buyers, okay? Let's follow this on along, okay? So now the question is do I know, and the question that I'm asking myself here, do I know that we're going to continue down or we're going to go up, okay? That's what I'm trying to understand. That's what I'm trying to get, to here. Again, some down pressure, red. Now I got a higher buy volume, and I can see that this is significant now. We're starting to see a significant buys coming in over the last part of this, not quite as much as this. And I don't see any major sellers coming in. I've got a sell here, and this sell is almost equal buyers and sellers. Okay. And again, more buy, more sell, more buy. They can't get below this. The sellers can't get the pressure below this area, right? And it's holding, and it continues to hold until I get some significant buy volume coming in. Again, even in this one, so here's a great example. This is an example that I want to use, okay? And I haven't mapped this stuff out beforehand, guys, so hang on. I want to get, because I just wanted to walk through it with you guys kind of raw. Okay, this is the one that we're going to look at. Oh, and it doesn't go up over. So I'll do 2 here. All right. So I've almost got equal buyers and sellers in this candle, which appears to be all buyers in the normal volume. Okay, it looks like, oh my gosh, I got tons of buyers here, heavy blue, right? Well, it's not the case. I've got equal buyers and sellers, right? And so now if I go back and I say, okay, I've got one of my boxes here. I've hit this area, and I know now in volume, I've got heavy sell pressure coming in, not letting the buyers go any higher. If this comes down and retests back up, which it did, this might be an excellent place to take some of my profit, if not all of it, and then try to get back in the trade, right? Because now I understand that I'm within one of my ranges, and I also understand that I have sellers coming in. And even when I get back to this second blue, this is really cool stuff. I'm kind of geeky, I guess, because I think it's really cool stuff. But when I get back to this next blue over here, this one right there, again, looks like fairly high volume. This black line is about the 50% level, right? But it's right at it. So it's fairly good volume, right? Coming back up. But the reality of that buy volume is half of that buy volume is sell volume. In fact, if we were to really zoom in on this, to me, it looks like there's a little bit more sellers than buyers in that blue candle. Now, the only thing that I think that can happen is that either the buyers have to come in and drive it up, or sellers are going to come in and drive it down. So what happens next? Sellers come in, no buyers in that seller candle. This candle right here. So all of the buy candles had a bunch of sellers in it, right? And I get a seller candle with no buyers. I get a buyer candle with a bunch of sellers. I get another seller candle with no buyers. What's the market going to do? Who could guess, right? It's exhaustion, exactly right. The market has the supply in the market has overcome the demand in the market. So there is more supply. We can see that down here. Supply and demand are equal. Bunch of supply, no demand. Supply and demand are equal. A bunch of supply, no demand. More supply, more demand. And we're heading down. Okay? But this began to tell us the story early on. More demand right here. Let's just follow this. More demand, okay, more supply here than demand. But now, right here, we come in huge demand over supply. You can see the difference here between the two candles. Market has to go up. More demand than supply. Come here, much more demand than supply. Now, here's our first clue. Significant supply over demand. Okay, now the market still has some momentum, right? It still had some pressure going up, but this was our first clue that this little up move may be over, right? Equal supply and demand. So huge demand did not come back in the market here. Again, equal. Big demand tried to come in, but equal supply came in and absorbed. The key word there is absorb all of the demand. Okay, equal. Now, lots of demand, lots of supply, zero demand. Equal supply and demand. Demand tries one more time, but supply goes, oh, no. I got lots of supply for you, demand. And here it is. And so supply keeps providing the demand. So there's not enough to demand to absorb the supply. It's equal. Now, more supply comes in and we erode to the downside because demand gives up. Now, we have demand and supply coming back together, right? And if we look, it's not a lot here because supply got used coming up down here. Now we have demand, which is more demand than supply right here. Okay. More demand, very little supply. And it's not much now, guys, because the battle's already taken place. Okay. So more demand, more supply. And I want you guys to look at this. More supply, but can't come down at all. A little bit of demand is chewing that up. Now more demand. Okay. More demand. Where's the market going to go? This candle is beginning to tell us, right? Supply's kind of given up. But as soon as we hit this area again, look what supply does. Now, demand is slightly more than supply here. We can look at the difference. Demand again. Now, this is very similar to this pattern over here, but with one difference. And let's look at the two patterns together, okay? I'm going to do I'm going to reverse my arrow here. Just learning to read supply and demand. Okay, here I have no demand. Very similar. Here I have no demand. Okay, here I have demand. Here I have demand, right? Very similar. Here I have very little to no demand after this demand right here, but here demand stays in. Now demand does go away again, but here it comes back big, big time. So this is the demand candle, the one that we would say, okay, now is in control. And then that is exactly why this can happen. Okay. We just went through the battle. We saw it. We saw supply and demand come in together, and we finally saw supply lose. Here, supply comes back in, but can't come down. Demand takes control all the way on up, this whole deal. Now, again, just the same way. At the top of the market, we have huge demand, okay, coming in right. Let's get the candle that it's on. It's on this one right here, okay, followed by finally huge supply. Why is that? Why would it be there? Well, could it be associated with our comfort level? It absolutely is associated with what the market is comfortable with. So demand came back in at a level that they go, oh my gosh, let's take some profit. Let's sell some stuff off, right? And we can see it in both our range and we can see it in the volume, right? And eventually demand holds or supply holds because a lot of people are taking profit. This is their level of comfort in their move. Well, how much of a move was that ultimately for some of these guys? Let's take a look at that, right? Let's start at our lowest low down here, our highest high up here. That was almost a 14% move, 13.99. Okay. So pretty amazing, that is the comfort level for profit. And it's a nice profit level, right? I'd love to make 14% in every move I do, right? So, but we can read the story in real time of what supply and demand is doing. And this indicator, guys, is called VSP Raw, right? And it's an indicator that you can download if you go to indicators, scripts here, and I think I can type BSP. No, hang on. I'm testing these different things. It's called buy sell pressure raw here. Okay. So you can get that indicator right there, and here's what it looks like, right? And to download that to your favorites, you just click on that and you go click here and it'll add that script to your favorites. So let me do that with you. I'm going to let me just add a different one. Let's just find one. I don't know if there's any I don't know what let's see here. I don't know what this is. Whatever this is. Here's the scripts down here. Automatic golden ratio, whatever this. Let's see. Let's find. Yeah. Okay. To get this one, if I thought this was an indicator I wanted to use, and it's not, but I'd go down here, see these three little dots? I'd click on this, and it brings up the indicator. Oh my gosh. That's a lot of noise. But if it was one that I wanted to use, I just go down here, add it to my favorites like that, come back up here, X this down, and now if I go to my favorites, here it is. Okay, not one that I want to play with or use, but if I wanted to, I'd click on that and it would end up on my chart. Okay, it's not one I want to use. So, oh my gosh, look at that. So I'm going to delete it here and delete it here. So it's just a lot of noise. But you know, this one's a good one for you guys to play with and begin to understand buy sell pressure. Okay, and look at it in comparison to the normal volume. Remember that this volume up here I got just as a normal indicator. And guys, don't put tons and tons of indicators on your screen because it creates what we call noise and really makes trading very difficult. Just use volume, use barriers, use that kind of stuff because it really does make trading a lot easier. But this volume here is just under your built-ins right here. It's a normal volume, and it's the volume that you find right down here at the bottom that just says volume, and you can add that to your chart. Okay. And it's good to be able to look at the two just so that you learn, you know, because this is the volume. The top one is the volume that most people are looking at, right? They're looking at this. They're not looking at volume the way that we do, which is, you know, volume profiles and stuff. So the other thing that I could do is add the volume profile to this move. Now I understand buyers are coming in, and if I added one more level to the volume, I would want to add the volume profile to this move. I'd want to see when this volume began to switch and hold, right? So I would look at my volume profile and I go from the top to the bottom, and I can see why this top range is holding because I've got my volume profile now. Now, if I want to see when this is going to begin to shift, I go between these two candles and I want the volume profile of this decision area. And if I look at it, I can look at my bodies here and I can see that it's holding pretty much right in the range of the volume profile and moves back into that. Okay. And if I go across this at all from and understanding this top move up here, one, I understand my range. One, I'm above the volume profile and I'm bouncing. And I can see that here in this also, right? I can see the volume trying to hold. But as soon as it gives away, I can begin to see that the market, here's my highest volume level. Let me crunch this down so you guys can see. Here's my highest volume point right there. See this dark line going all the way to the end? Here's my highest volume point. Look at what happened when the buyers gave up, right? We closed below that, and we know that there's not going to be any challenge to it because the buyers have pretty much given up, right? There's no challenge to it yet. So the only thing that it can do is go down to our next level, which it did right there. So in volume, not indicators, guys, in volume, we can tell the whole story. In ranges that the market moves, we can set expectations. Volume tells us the story, ranges tells us the expectations of that potential move, okay? So how many people are with me so far? Lots of advanced stuff. And guys, I'm doing the advanced stuff so you guys can go back and listen over and over again, okay? This is really, you know, good stuff for you guys to know. All right, last thing that I want to teach today is how to set an indicator, right? And where and why would I set indicators? So let's go back and look at the barriers that I've kind of taught before, right? We can start I don't know. Let's start down here. Okay. If I'm in this down move and I set this as a barrier and it comes up and I set this as a barrier and this market has gone up to here. If it gets back to either one of these barriers, I want to potentially look at doing a buy. I would want to analyze my volume. I'd want to see what's going on with my ranges. I don't know. Let's look at what range we might be in here coming back down. Yeah, we might be in that range right there. We're actually peaking below it a little bit. Okay, bodies to bodies though, I'm right in that range. The wicks kind of go below it a little bit, but the bodies don't really. In fact, the bodies don't at all. The bodies actually hold the range perfectly. So, okay, so I'm in my range. I'm coming to my barrier. I don't want to sit here for hours for this to happen. Okay, I want the system to tell me that it's going to happen. So let's do this. Event alert. No, this wasn't it. Hang on one second. Add an alert. I think this is it. Yep. Add an alert. Okay. So if this market is coming down or has gone up, I can set an alert when the market crosses this line. This line is at 436, right? So I can say, value, and I can go in here and set this to 436. And assuming that all of this to the right hasn't happened, right? This is just going up, right? I can say, send me an email, send me an SMS, and then give me my number, or just send an SMS. I have to upgrade to do that. But I can set alerts. Now, our system will do the same thing where we'll set alerts, and that's one of the reasons that I'm showing you. I can also say, I can give it a time to play a sound or an alert to tell me. So I can set up this. I can set it up once, if it hits it once or every time that it hits it. So I can set up if it's a long-term barrier where it might, be hitting multiple times. I might want to say, hey, every time it hits this barrier, tell me, tell me that it's hitting. So I can create an alert so that if I'm, working around the house or out doing something, it sends me an SMS and an email, and then I can come back to the computer, take a look at what's going on, and decide if I want to take a trade. Okay. So that's the easiest way to trade manually, guys, is to set up your alerts and to know where and why you want those alerts. And again, we set those on our barriers, right? If I set it, if this had happened and this is a barrier and I want to know if it comes back and hits it, let me know. I can also do it to the top side too, like this, which is another trade, right? If I have my high here, I have two barriers, right? Let's say I have two barriers in this little zone area. Okay. Okay. If I'm trading and it happened right here, and initially I would put it on this wick. If I close above this area, let me know. Okay. If I wick back down to this area, let me know, because I want to do a buy. If I close above this area, I want to look for a pullback. And once I get this new little high here, I would adjust my bar and slide it up. Okay. So now when I do my alert, right, I have the hardest time seeing that silly thing. Crosses. So I should have, and I haven't looked for this yet, outside the channel, outside the barrier, greater than, if it closes greater than this number, then let me know. And I would set that number at the 472. So if it closes greater than that number, if something closes above that, then let me know. And then it would let me know. I'd come back and I'd watch this. Or if it closes above there, I could set another alert that said, if it comes back to this line, let me know. So now I come and look, oh, okay, we closed above. Now I come here, I set another alert, and I could say, okay, now if the value, crosses down, so if it crosses down to this line, then let me know, and I come and look, and then I do a buy, right? So that's how I set alerts, and there's all kinds of different alerts that you can play with here and begin to learn how to manage your charts. So we learned a lot today. That volume just of itself is really mixed of buyers and sellers. The question is, how many buyers and how many sellers are in this volume, which is very, very important. And we also learned about measuring our ranges, picking a range, and again, get that range where you verify that it's happened in multiple places, that you can see. Here's bodies to bodies. I can see this range really does play out a lot, okay? And I want to verify this range over and over again so that I know that this is a valid range for this market, okay? There's no tool to really do this because it really is, it would take a lot to develop something that would do this. It really is a professional or a trader's skill to be able to measure the ranges and kind of go back and look at it. They have average true range and all that kind of stuff. I find that they're very, very inadequate in terms of your ability to really measure, go back, test, look, feel, and then come up with a range that really the market wants to move. So, learn how to do this. It's fun. It's a gift that will, serve you for a long time as a trader. So, all right, let's take some questions. Deb, if you're still there, and see if we got it, or...
I am here.
Awesome. Let's see what we have.
So far, we have one from Udo. Doug, this is his question about EOS. He says, on Tuesday's class, just before we finished, I asked you to look at EOS. Did you get the chance? I saw an upswing coming, and it has followed through. Problem, I still am unclear on your method of projecting trends, and my method is not systematical. It's intuitive and unique to me, so I am working to learn how you do it with such calculation.
Well, man, I covered that pretty well today.
Right?
Yeah, I didn't know that was his question, but Udo, you should be able to do exactly what I did today, and see if you can do that. That would be interesting. Why don't you try it before I do it, and then maybe let's compare. Okay.
Did you look specifically at EOS?
I did not, but we can look at EOS. EOS against Bitcoin, I would assume, not USD. Yeehaw. Let's see here. Sometimes I always find look back. Boy, a lot of lines, huh? All right, let me clear everything. I was looking back for something to see if I could see it. Okay. Go back to current. Let's just start with a range. And again, this is what I do is I take a range And again, I have to validate that range, right? I want to see if that range is used by the market, right? So it looks good there, right to the top. And there's going to be 3 or 4 ranges that I'll pick, right? And see if we're, oh, come on. A little big for, well, actually, so the first hesitation here. So there's a range within this move, and then this becomes the range here. Oh, don't do that. All right. So you gotta squinch it up. Okay, so let's do that as a range, and let's and this is a little big for this range. So let's begin to test this range as a potential second range, and let's color this different. So we know that that's a different range. Begin to test. Might be a little shy. I may want to extend that a little bit, but we'll see. Yeah, actually looking pretty nice. And then we'll have a smaller range, right? So we broke that. Actually came to the top of it. So yeah, so I would do it the exact same way as I'm doing here. Takes a little bit longer than what I'm doing just to really find. So this, and now I'm going to do just a bigger range. Doesn't take too long, but you do want to spend a little time just measuring your ranges and really getting a comfort level that you have. What am I doing here? Stop that. Okay, I'm going to do this maybe as a range. We'll see here. Let's do this as the pink. Okay, so we closed above that. Now the question is how are we doing here? So we can see we came right to the range again, kind of peaked above it. Still got some buyers in the market. It looks like it's still wanting to push some. So right now I've been thinking that the market's still trying to push. So we've broken our range, and I think we're at the moment, now we are in the weekend, it's hard to tell, but still definitely, unless this goes away, I mean, we definitely still have some buy pressure. Have a lot of down here, and let's have a look. Down, down. Holding that. Down, down. Let's get this out of our way. Still have some buyers in this down. Unlike the other down that we saw before, there was no buyers. We still have a few buyers, but we have some pretty significant buyers here, and buyers again trying. Huge down here. More down than buy. That's why we're trying to see the down pressure. Right now is the battle. We hold the buys here, I think we'll take another push. So we'll see. But right now I would have to say You know, we're at the top of our range, and I would like to see a deeper pullback, honestly. I'd like to see sellers come in and reset this up because I'm at a pretty decent range, unless there's another range that I'm missing again, and I would really need to measure. Let's just see. Let's see how big this range is. And I don't want to find the oddball range, right? That it only fits one time, you know. Yeah, yeah, that's pretty nice, huh? Comes right to it there. Comes right to it. We break above it. See, and this is what I'm really wanting to see in this move also. If I took this as my range here, and how close are these two ranges together? No, they're identical. Okay. There you go. They're identical. All right. If I took this as the move and I close above, right, they had the pullback here. And this is really what I was wanting to see here, is this same kind of pullback hold. And that's what's trying to happen here. So you get the pullback. Let's look at the volume profiles in here. Let's see. Let's get a line on it. We're interested in what happened from here to basically here. Okay. Yeah, we can see that the reason we came down is that there was no buyers in here, guys. Then we see everybody kind of go away. There's no interest. And this candle here is really just, this big volume here is distorting everything. So I slide it off the screen so I can see really what's going on. And here's my two lines up at the top here. So buyers, huge down volume. More down than up, more down than up, all down, more down, more down, equal, more buyers, more down. So we begin to now get buy pressure here, but the sell pressure begins to go away right here and begins to lose right here also, right? We're starting to see the buyers come back in. So let's go up and see what happened, right? Yeah. So yeah, so we stay fairly flat. Now here's where it changes. So let's look at what volume did here. Get that big thing off the line. Yeah, and just like we said, buyers started to come back in right here, and then they're in all here, and now we start up, right? Huge down pressure. Let's see what happened. On this, nobody could go down. Now we'll see that, and this is a really interesting part, guys. If we see high volume down and the market can't go down, it's gonna get absorbed by the buyers here. Okay, it just couldn't go down. Lots of supply, can't go anywhere, right? So we see the buy pressure between this range is going to be greater than the sell pressure between the same range. Okay. I didn't want to do that. That was interesting. It jumps around like that. I don't know why it does that. Again, very equal all through here. Buyers start coming back in on this candle right here before this move happens. They start coming back in, and then the move takes off again. So yeah, so I would use the ranges the same way, Udo. We can see that we can see that it holds, it plays out, and then the buyers come back in, and we can see it takes off again. Let's look at our smaller range here. I don't know if that was our smallest, or is this a smaller? Yeah, here's our smallest range. Again, I haven't spent a lot of time on these. Again, we come right to it. We hold on top of it. So we had up pressure on the smallest range, okay, because we closed above it. And then our medium range, we're dead on it, okay? Everybody see that? Is that okay? Not magic, but it is fairly significant. So, well, guys, love spending Saturday with you. Give me a 1 if you learned anything today.
Today and every day that you come on and show us stuff.
Yeah, I love doing this with you guys. Devin, it's kind of advanced, but it's not hard, is it?
No, not at all. Once you take a breath and realize that we are human beings who can learn anything that we put in front of ourselves. Just taking a breath and realizing that it might take time, and that's okay. Then you just start to absorb it in. It just soaks in like I'm a sponge, and I'm loving it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I'm a newbie, right? I'm so brand new to all of this, and it can be overwhelming. I can see that from, that perspective, because it is kind of advanced and I don't know anything about this world, right? But all these trainings are so amazing, and I can go back and watch them. If I didn't really understand something, I can watch it over and over and over, and then I get it, and it's beautiful. Perfect.
Yeah. So Udo says it looks arbitrary. You take the arbitrary out through validation. So once you do a range, go back and match the range up with other moves. If it doesn't consistently match, then you don't have a good range. All you're trying to do is, again, understand the movement, the cycles within that coin. Now, every coin might have slightly different cycles. That's why we measure every coin, right? Because it has different people trading and stuff. Might be very similar, but slightly different. When a range, once you have a valid range, and you know that range is good, and you can move it around and have it hold, when it breaks that range, that's when you bring in the next range and see what's going to happen, right? And you slide ranges up. If we're scalping or moving smaller amounts out of the market and I close above a range, then I'll move my smaller range up and see if I have another target. And if that breaks, then I'll move my other range up and see if I have a target, right? It's like building blocks, guys. I just move the ranges to see it. So not arbitrary, just initially it is, because you got to find a range and then you got to validate. So it's a range that's been validated, not just a range, that you pick and you don't have validation of that range. Okay.
Doug, we do have one more question. It's actually it's from Mark. And he says, for those of us who are unable to attend Kula 2, and I just have to wonder why. Anyway,
yeah.
He says, will you be giving us that quote special training on how to always win with the electronic gaming machines, please?
Yeah, we're going to have, it looks like I'm going to be teaching on Sunday afternoon and Saturday, or Sunday afternoon and all day Monday for crypto. And we're going to do a lot of hands-on with the bot and a lot of hands-on. We're working on simulcasting that also, so that the people at home can either get the recording or be part of it at home. we want you guys there because it's going to be much different. I think Brendan will probably he can't be there for the whole time, but he'll probably fly in on Sunday morning and be there for Sunday and Monday maybe. And when we do hands-on training, guys, it's magical. So, it's going to be, if you can be there, great. If you can't, we understand. And we're going to try to accommodate everybody. So, but yeah, so we'll have it hopefully simulcast. I know Peter's working on that, or we'll have it video recorded and you guys can get that. So one way or another, right?
That's awesome. I'm so excited. And just to be clear, he does want training, not just on the bot, but he's asking for the extra special training that you have on some gaming stuff while in Vegas.
Oh, he wants the roulette wheel.
Yeah.
I don't know about that one. I think you have to be there to get that one.
Got to be there in person.
Yeah,
Love
because
it.
guys, we are going to show you how to. Brendan and I have never lost. Literally, have never, ever lost a roulette. So. But yeah, I did say I would teach that, and we will teach that. It's not that a loss isn't possible, I guess. We just haven't lost. So I don't know.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I want some me and you time at the roulette wheel then.
Hey, we will do it.
I have one really, really quick thing to say. I just want to give a plug. Corey asked us to mention this, and I failed to do it during the social media part, so I'm going to mention it now. We really, really need everyone possible to go and like and share and comment and everything on the Reign of Cthulhu Facebook page. Something really, really big is happening next Saturday and the following weeks with that promotion. So we want to get everybody involved in that page and engaged. So if everybody could do that, that would be super.
Awesome. Yeah, Reign of Cthulhu is going to be a big one, guys. So
I just added it to chat, guys.
Could be our
Thank you.
Could be our very first $1 billion deal right after trading.
Yeah, right.
All right. Well, guys, love you, Kula. Thank you for being here. If you're not part of Kula, you're welcome to join Kula and get involved in a bunch of stuff that we do along with trading, but you can also trade along with us. The bot will be available to non-Kula members. Everything that we do will be based on some even more advanced volume stuff that I don't teach, but that will be part of the bot. So with that, guys, thank you for being here. Appreciate you. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week sometime. Thanks, everybody.